social movement.
Obama called Fugitive Safe Surrender. It's church court. What they do is they go around to a city, they find an African-American megachurch, and they move the whole local court apparatus into the church for 4 days. And they advertise, they say, if you are wanted for anything, you can turn yourself into this church and you'll get, special consideration. And no, we're not going to proselytize, and you're going to walk in. I went to one in Akron, Ohio. There's sheriffs there in riot gear, and there's a preacher, and you had your choice. You walk in. You can talk to the man with a gun or the man with a Bible. What are you going to do? And
I'm going with the gun.
Exactly. But so all that kind of organizing, that's slow, that's long, slow organizing that does it, that's sacrifice and so on. And I think to bring it back around to sort of maybe a different way, which is killing the Buddha, which Nathan has really taken the helm of killing the Buddha. This approach and this, I think Nathan talked about this book, Believer Beware. And to disagree with you just a little bit on that phrase, spiritual but not religious. And I'm just going to be contentious because that you know what? I don't want to hear spiritual but not religious, because you know what religion does? Religion holds you accountable. Religion holds you accountable. And I think that's a big part of what Killing the Buddha does, is that we're simultaneously invested in understanding the traditions that we may disagree with. And I know that you are too. But so many times people say, I'm spiritual but not religious. I just make it up for myself. And, I happen to be Jewish, not observant, but Christian comes up to me and says, oh, I just love the Jews. I just love the Jews. And I think it's so terrible what the church did to the Jews. I'm not like that. I'm spiritual but not religious. And I've heard this. I'm like, don't tell me that. You're telling me that you've forgotten, you're not interested in your history. No, history. Religion is history. We got to wrestle with it. And I think that is what Killing the Buddha can bring to this discussion. This argumentative, sharp-elbowed. We used to call it the cacophony choir, because we said, what's my co-founder on the site and we traveled around the country writing about all these different kinds of religious communities, and we came back and you're doing we did a book, and we're doing the rounds of radio shows, and everyone wanted to know, what's the common denominator of American religion? The common denominator. They wanted us to be unified. They wanted us to tell them about some kind of harmony, and that's not there. And it's a good thing it's not. There's no harmony. It's cacophony, and that's what I like about religion. That tradition that has you going to your Congregationalist church and to your grandfather's church, and they're saying things in that church that you don't agree with, but you're sitting there with them. It's like listening. It's like being in a church where people can't really sing, which is most churches. There's a lot of people can't sing, and I'm Jewish, but I visit churches. I can't sing, but I'll sing anyways. And someone has to sit next to me. And I'm like, oh, listen to that guy. But you have to stay engaged with that person, and conversation with that person, and debate with that person. That's cacophony. That's the sound of belief and unbelief in America, which, with much respect for the ideas behind spiritual, not religious, because I know, having talked with you, that I think we're on the same page there. But I want those sharp edges, and those sharp edges come from acknowledging the traditions that we come from, just as you do when you're talking about that your grandfather's church and what's going on there. There's sharp edges in that church. Let's not erase them. Let's not look at what we have in common. Let's talk about these things that we disagree about, and let's have a debate, and let's have this cacophonous, this sound. My favorite forgotten president, James Buchanan, a failure in every single regard, except for the fact that it said that he was America's first gay president. This is true, actually, James Buchanan. And people knew it at the time, so that's an all historical aside. James Buchanan defending...
First out. Gay president.
That's true. And he was
because I have the wigs, the powder. There's some queering happening.
Yeah. But Buchanan, you know, he was a failure. This is before Civil War. This is discussion. People are saying, you know, let's calm the conversation down. Let's calm the conversation down. Really, we can find common ground you know, we don't. Let's move slowly. And he said, I like the noise of democracy. I like the noise of people arguing and shouting. So that's where I would leave it in terms of what I think the killing the Buddha approach can maybe bring to this.
Thank you. We're going to take questions now. So do we need to pass the mic around? And we want questions. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the Times, the article about Bloomberg and the black churches and how he has been influencing Butts and Flake and the whole election. I'd like your comments on that, both of you.
Well, I read the article with great dismay, but it's actually straight out of the Bush playbook. So you ignore the traditional organizing structures. So for instance, there are about 30 black Baptist associations in New York City alone. And so typically what a politician does is go to each one of those associations to get an endorsement, right? So you ignore that superstructure. Like for instance, Bush met once with the heads of the 7 historic black denominations, once. And then he went around them. So he found large mega churches who have outreach vis-a-vis, you know, not only 20, 30,000 people, which can swing an election like that, but also who have international ministries. We see that, I mean, vis-a-vis the media and then the funding that comes through the faith-based initiative. So what the article traced out is that there's probably close to $10 million that has been given out to these houses of worship. In fact, I think the number was something like $7 million has gone to Abyssinia's Development Corporation.